Hey, hello. This is Jasmin. And it seems that I have to proceed in a second video because the recording it stopped on itself. It seems that this camera can only record for 3 hours in a row. So I'm going to show you again what I showed at the end of the previous video, so that you get the whole all the things that I want to share with you. What I was saying was I had applied for a patent for my financial system, and I've gotten it. And in case you didn't see it, here it is. I keep it. Excuse me. I keep it on my desk, and it looks like this. And here it says. Uitvinder, which means inventor, and there you have my name, Jasmin Hairo, and below that it says for, which means for, for what, and there behind that you see financial system, which means financial system. And while I was reading this book about copywriting, I had read this thing that I don't exactly remember, but it was something like that most people know, that from just working all their life and saving all their life, that they won't get financially independent at the end, and that they needed some kind of guide that would help them to achieve that goal. And I thought to myself, well, I have I can create a guide like that because I've studied finance for so long, and I've also experience with it, and that led to actually writing my first book, and I'm very glad that I did that, because otherwise, well, that knowledge and that experience would come to use eventually to myself, but not to other people. And by making a book out of it, I can help other people with this guide, if you want to call it like that. And I wanted to show you 2 more things, and after that to talk a bit about some things that are in my book. And while I do that, I have also written some things out, and as we go along I can show you that to make it visual for you, how simple and easy to do it is. But there is one thing that you have to understand. So it might, if you like read the description of my book and you read there like I can build a fortune with just 1 or 2 hours a month, and you think, well, that's like a really bold statement. You have to like see that in perspective, because you do have to work and earn money. So on Monday until Friday, or if you are like maybe working in a restaurant, you are probably working from Wednesday until Sunday, but you do have to like uh, work to provide for yourself. You need an income, and so that you can save some of that what you earn, and also use this system to make that what you save to make it grow. So if you are working in a restaurant, or you are in sales, or a garbage man, or whatever, you work 40 hours a week, and then you add one, let's say you work 40 hours a week, which is 160 hours a month, and you add to that 1 or 2 hours extra for your fortune building. So it is not that you can sit on your couch the whole month and watch television and not do much, and then just go get this book and build a fortune with 1 or 2 hours. That is not the case. You have to work, you have to provide for yourself, and you have to earn, and from that you earn every month, you can save some of that and use this financial system, and which would take you like 1 or 2 hours a month, and then you make that that money that you save, you make it grow in a like very very solid way, and with the minimum risk as possible. So it is like, how do you say that? You might, yeah, it is like responsible. Make it grow in a responsible way, without risking your savings and so on. So that is the perspective in how you have to see that. So if you are working 40 hours a week, which is 160 hours a month, and then you, in your free time, you might wanna rest, and you might wanna enjoy yourselves a bit, enjoy your life, and go out and see and experience things, and spend some time with your family. And so therefore, and therefore I cannot ask of you uh, to like spend one whole day or 2 days on this thing, but 1 or 2 hours a month you can easily do. And even if you have your own business, or if you are in sales and you are working like 6 days a week, even you can spend 1 or 2 hours a month on your fortune building, and you should, because people in sales and people who are business owners, they have to take care of their own retirement. Okay, so I hope I have put that into perspective, and now I will show you just very quickly these two things. Okay. So here this was like it is better if I do it like on my left, so that you can also see my face. This was one of my savings accounts, and because here you see my name and my address, and here you see 300 euros and 13 cents saved, and this is like this. I have, like, before I started this, I've translated it, and it is this blocked savings account in which you put like $500 or more for 5 or 10 years, maybe 20, and then the intention is not to touch that money for that period of time, and you get like more interest on that, because the bank or the financial institutions with which you have your account, they can then use that money to, like, for consumer loans or whatever. And it is like just 1 second. By the translation that I found, it is a deposit savings account. So I hope that you understand what kind of account you mean. I had this account at the Rabobank. I think that this bank is like working internationally, so you can, if you are living in America, you probably also have this bank there in the building of it, and it would then be maybe the website would be rabobank.com, I think, and this account would be called goal saving account, and you can choose to put your money in there and to leave it there for 1 or 3 or 5 or 10 or even 20 years. And if you choose to save it in there for 20 years, then you get the highest interest rate that they will pay you every year. The interest rates way back then were a bit higher than they are now, but it is still a good account to have, and you should have one. And then you see here I had more than 6,000 saved in it, and here I also at the same bank I had my investment portfolio, and then I also had like stocks, and I was see and these were like bonds, and there was more than 3,000 euros in my investment portfolio. And the well, of course you want to see that I did invest and that I save and that I saved in this like deposit savings account and so on. The point that I want to make is that there should be a better how do you say that a better defined if you like if you have all of this, the amount would be like about 10,000 euros, and if you are to divide that into 3 accounts, then there would be like a bit more than 3,300 in my savings account, and there would be more than about 3,333 euros in my deposit or savings account, and there would be like 3,333 euros in my investment account. And this was like my first portfolio, and in the beginning I had not decided like that, but I was like getting my experience then, and and as you now can maybe realize that this was like how do you say it? There was like there was risk, and it was well, it was not there was like a bit more risk to it, because these were individual stocks, and I had also more than 1/3 of my savings in my investment account. And because you want to make your money grow responsibly, and you want to minimize your risk as much as you can, then you want to divide it in 3/3, and it would then be better than this. And in my book, and which is based on my patented financial system, you will also learn to do it better than this, and to minimize your risk so that it is responsible. Okay, then one more thing. you will learn, and you will also want to go for a portfolio, for an investment account, which is more like this. And here you see my investment portfolio at a different rank, and here you see I have to like translate that because it is in Dutch. These here are the mutual funds. See, you want to have those mutual funds that are invested in stocks of companies, and that are also invested in real estate at the bottom here. And below them you have here it says vastrettende waarden. Those are the mutual funds that are invested in a lot of different bonds. And below that you see it says dividends and coupons, and you will learn to in your investment account to divide that portion of your money, or that part of your money, into mutual funds that pay out dividends, and they are within themselves. So the mutual fund within itself invests in like maybe 50 or 100 different companies, and then you want to invest in the ones that pay out a dividend to you, and you want to be in the mutual funds that are invested in all kinds of bonds, and that you want to be in those that pay out an annual interest to you. And by having your investment account like this, by having an investment portfolio like this, you are very responsibly making your money grow, because one of those mutual funds, like I said, is within itself, and the fund manager does that. You don't have to do that. He has selected with his team of people like about 50 or 100 of the best companies at this time worldwide. That could like be Google and Apple and this Nestle that delivers most of the things in your supermarket, and there may be utility companies, and also these telecom and internet companies that provide the internet and the telephone and everything that goes with that, and the television and so on. And if you are like having some of your money in let's say 10 of those funds, and every of those mutual funds is invested in itself in 50 or 100 different companies, then your money is divided worldwide in like 500 companies or even more. So with that, with the previous step that you divide your savings into threes and that you only invest a third of it, you have minimized your risk. And by putting the money that you invest in these mutual funds, you have minimized risk even more to a point that 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 there is that that is it is as low as possible, and because of that, it is a real good and responsible way how you should grow your money. And so that the chance that you might like it cannot happen that that in one of these funds that you like, because there are 50 or 100 companies in a mutual fund, there is not like much that can happen with it. The value of it may rise and decline a little bit. This it will do like all the time, and that is why it is recommended and also forbidden for you that you watch it every day, because that will only make you nervous, and that is completely unnecessary, because it's a normal thing that happens all the time. What you are aiming for is that your three accounts that they yield a return every year for you. So that's what you want, and you've minimized your risk to as low as possible. Therefore, you are making your money grow in a very responsible way, and it does not cost you a lot of time, and you don't have to watch this like every day. You just an hour or two a month that you spend on it is more than sufficient. And here you see like a little chart, and you see here how it has developed, and you see, if you look closely, it goes up and down and a little bit. I don't mean here, this is where I added more money to it, but from here till here it goes a little bit up and down. And if you don't this is like from, you see here below, it's from day to day, and you don't have to watch this every day because that's unnecessary. Excuse me. That is that's also another thing what you get if you smoke tobacco. It will make you cough. Okay, and now to this other thing that I wanted to show you. Oh yeah, I had like, excuse me, I'm maybe getting a little tired now because it's already in the middle of the night, and this whole thing has taken me more time than I had thought, but well, eventually that doesn't matter, because we want to know as much as possible. I think before you uh, like want to get a copy of that book, and before you are going to use my financial system, then it is good if you want to know more, and I've shown you as much as possible. And now I would let us get into some well, Jung Rohn would call them fundamentals. So let's get into some basic things from my book. I've written some things out so that I can show them to you as I talk, so that you get a visual and a better of an understanding of what I exactly mean and how it will look like. And here I have these what I had written out that I can show you as we go along. And in the beginning of my book, I tell you that you should do some how do you call that, for the writing preparations, and one of those things is that you should go to a notary and you have your testament or your will made, so that if you die, if you pass on, that the things that you own, that they will be divided to the people that you want them to go, and that there is clarity about that. And I have also said and written that you should get the insurances that you need and that you think that you might need, and we want to bundle all of them in one package, and you can maybe get them all at one provider, or maybe you should you will have to get some of them at another. But I know that if you have 4 or 5 or more insurances in a package at one company, that you will get a discount on your package. So that's also one of those things that you are going to do as a preparation. So, for example, you have your health insurance, your life insurance. Here I have tried to translate this, and it says house contents. In the Netherlands we say inboedel. This the things that you have in your house, for if there be some water damage or whatever, and then that's let's say there's a tornado or a tsunami or something, and it's like messes up all your furniture, or there is a fire or something, then you get the insurance to cover all your furniture and all your things, so that God forbid if something like that happens, that you can like call them, and that they can help you to replace all of your stuff that gets damaged. And you might like have your car insurance and your funeral insurance, because the last one that will like cost some money uh, to have someone's funeral, to have him like to give him his final resting place. And uh, from like what I like I like advise you to get one of those, and I like really urge you to get one of those, because when in Bosnia, when my grandfather died, the father of my mother, he did not have like this funeral insurance, and then my mother had to like pay for all the expenses for his funeral, and that has like costed her a lot of money, because she has like only an average job and an average paycheck. So you want to have these things like done and checked off, and so that you know that everything is set right. So you see, I don't like suggest anything without a good reason. And then let's say, for example, your the total of your insurances is about like $100 every month, and then they say, or if they don't, you just ask, can I get like a discount if I have 4 or 5 insurances in one package with you? And then, for example, they say, well, you got all of these in this one package, and you'll get like a 30% discount, and so then it would be like only $70 every month for your package of insurance. So which saves you. You have to look at these things in a year's perspective, you know. So you, in this month, you save like $30, you say $30, and you might think, well, that's not like a lot, but you have to see these things in a year's perspective, because the year has 12 months, and you multiply 12 months times these $30, and then you have $360 saved. Yeah, see? So okay, and then then there's of course this other thing that you have to do. You have to like go to the bank and tell them that you want these 3 accounts. that I have like shown you. You want a savings account, you want a deposit savings account, and you want an investment account, and then you tell them that you will invest only in mutual funds and in bonds, and that the other things don't interest you. You do it that way, okay? I've explained you why that is, and you only need like those two financial instruments for those two kinds of investments to minimize your risk and to make your money grow in a very responsible way. Okay, and the other side. Okay, then in one page I suggest to you that you save 10% of your paycheck, of your wage, of your salary, of your income. Of course, it is smart to save like 20 or 30%, but 10% is like an amount that most people can do. So we choose for the 10%, and let's say you earn $1,000 every month. As an example, you are a garbage man in America, and your name is Joe or John, and we are very happy that you come along and pick up the garbage, because otherwise there would be like garbage everywhere. So that is also a respectable way of earning a living. Well, you might like use gloves or something, but anyway, that is I just wanted to say that also average guy with an average paycheck and an average job can do this, and if our John or Joe, who is a garbage man, if he thinks, well, there's maybe some insecurity about how my pension will be, about how my retirement will be, because of all of the stuff that is happening in the world, and with these banks that have closed down and that don't exist anymore, and so on, you know. And our guy here, he would like, yeah, well, you might think it's fine that automatically from my paycheck, from the gross amount, that part of that is going to a pension fund, but I would feel better if I also had like when I retire, that I somewhere in some account that I have like a pile of money, yeah, just to be more sure that that my retirement will be some good years, you know. And Okay, let us. And then he stumbles upon this guy from the Netherlands that sells his greeting cards, and he thinks, well, he might be having like a weird haircut and so on, but at least he's honest and this stuff works, so I'm gonna like get his book and I'm gonna like do it this way, because even though I'm working like 160 hours a month, I do have an hour or two every month to do this fortune building stuff. And then here he is earning like $1,000 every month, and in one of the pages of my books I recommend that you and our guy that you save like 10% of your income, and in this case it would be like $100 every month. And here you see how that looks like. We here have January, February, March, April, and so on every month until December, and you or our garbage guy, they just you just decide to do it this way. You save 10% of your income, of your savings, and that will be like $100 every month. And you do this when you receive your money. So the first thing you do is you save 10% of it, and what is left of your paycheck, the other 90, you use to pay your bills, to live, to enjoy yourself, and so on. And you do it like every month, you save 10%, and after a year you have $1,200 or $1,200 saved. And this is so simple and so easy that even our Joe or our John, who is a garbage man, can do this, and after a year find himself that he has saved like a whole month's salary. Okay, and now we go on to another step. So this is one step. When you receive your paycheck, your money, your salary, your wage, the first thing you do is you save 10% of it. If you are bright, if you are smart, save a bit more than that, maybe 20, but 10% is good to start with. And then another step of the system. Oh yeah, well, you have, this is the amount that you save every month, and then you go to the bank and you open your 3 accounts, your savings account, deposit savings account, and your investment account. And then it takes a couple of days, couple of working days until they have done that for you. And then the next step is you divide this amount equally into your 3 accounts. So about $33.33 goes into your savings account, and $33.53 goes into your deposit savings account, and also a third, which is $33.33 goes into your investment account. See, that's another step of it, and that is also quite easy to do. And this how much time does this take to do? 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes maybe. Even then it is easy and fast. Okay. So, and then if you are doing this step every month, when you get your paycheck, you save 10% of that, and after that you do the other step. You divide your earnings, your savings into those 3 accounts that you have, that you use for your fortune building. Then, and you do that also every month, which will take you only a couple of minutes every month. Then after a year, you will have it like this. So by every month saving like 10%, you will have $1,200 saved. And then you will always divide it into 3/3. So at the end of the year, you will still have this $1,200, but 1/3 of it will be in your savings account, which is then 1/3 is $400, and 1/3 you will have in your deposito savings account, which is also $400, and 1/3 you will have in your investment account, which is also $400, and the total of that is this 1,200. Okay. So see that is easy to do, and it's simple, and it's not like scary or whatever at all. And it is not scary or complicated or whatever, because we have minimized the risk to as low as it can get, and we are making our money grow in a very responsible way. And shall we? Yeah, and if you would like, maybe I should save this for at the end of this video, or but I can also like say it now. If you maybe have some questions or so, you can always send me an email or go to our community and ask it there. I will then answer it for you. Okay. So, and now we go on. And then there is also, this is another step, because the original title of my book was how to build your fortune with simple steps. So we do it in steps, and this is another step. And the step is, to be exact, is that you divide it into 3/3, and the third that goes in your investment account, let's say it, well, in this example it would be like $33, and then you are going to divide that amount in 2, and the half of that you would put in in a stock mutual fund that pays out dividends to you, and the other half, in this case, in our example, it would be like $15. You put in a mutual fund that's invested in bonds, and that pays out an interest to you. And here I have like written out an example of how that what you have in your investment account may look like, for example. So, uh, like a page ago, you had by saving 10% of your income, the first thing that you do, after a year you had $1,200, you had then that divided into your three accounts. So you had 400 in your savings account, 400 in your deposito savings account, and 400 in your investment account. And this is then if you are when you like had invested that amount that's in your investment account into several mutual funds, and then it would like look like this, but this is just an example. So let's say you have like $50 in an utilities fund because you know and understand these companies that take care that all the people have like gas and electricity and so on, and so and we have here a D, which stands for dividend. So you always want to put your money in those that pay you out on a regular basis. This can be every 3 months or every 6 months, but mostly it's every year. And then you have like $50 in an fund, in a mutual fund that invests in companies that provide insurances, because you have insurances, you understand insurances, you know that all the other people have them, and that people will always need them, and so you can like put some money into that, and then you and it also has to pay you out a dividend. That's very important. And then you put like some $50 in a mutual fund that invests in government bonds, and here we have an E, which stands for interest. We want this mutual fund to pay you out an interest like every year, and if it's possible, more often, like every half year or every quarter. Every quarter is like every three months. And then you have like $50 in a mutual fund that invests into corporate bonds, and you want one that pays you out an interest like every year. And then you have $50 in a fund that invests into companies that provide internet and telecom services, and you want it to pay out a dividend to you every year. And you have like $50 in a mutual fund that invests in global bonds. So they invest in bonds of all kinds of companies worldwide, and that with that that is also like to minimize the risk, you know, if they invest in worldwide. because if they only invest in the companies of one country, then there is something happens in that country which affects everything. But if you are invested worldwide, like you will be with this, then that is also to minimize your risk. That's what you want. Okay, then you put $50 into a global real estate fund, which invests in commercial spaces, like these buildings that have stores, and these buildings that have people living there who pay the rent and so on. And you want it also to pay you out like an interest or a dividend. Now that is very important. And then you for example put $50 in a national real estate fund, so that invests in real estate that is in your own country, and you want that one to also pay you a dividend or interest every year. And if you are now if you also know a bit about finance and maybe a bit about investing, and you say to yourself that is a dividend portfolio, then you are absolutely right. You want one of those that you can in a responsible way invest your money in these mutual funds, in these financial instruments, as some may call them, and that you can leave it that way. Yeah, that you can leave it, and then you go on living your life and working. And well, in this case, with this financial system that you use, you will spend about 1 or 2 hours every month to do it. But but you can after you've done it, you can leave it for the whole month, and then in the next month you also spend an hour or 2 on it, and then you leave it again. You don't have to look at it every day and so on. And after a year, you're starting to have your own dividend portfolio. That is how some people call it. It is an investment portfolio that is that is aimed at investing in these, in this case, mutual funds, and all the companies that the mutual funds invest in worldwide. But the main goal of that kind of dividend portfolio is that you invest in it and you just can leave it, and that it yields a return in dividends and interest for you every year. And that's what you want. So, and because here I've shown you a simple example, and that you should put your money in things that you know and that you understand. There is also a bit about bonds in my book, so if you want to know a little bit more about them, then you can learn it there. But yeah, and yeah, I wanted to say, if you want to know more, there are of course many books written about these things, but that's like not really necessary. You can learn this system and you apply it, and if there's something unclear to you, you can ask the people at your bank, or you can even email me, and then it will be explained to you. Okay, so in your investment accounts, you have 1/3 of the money that you save, which is very responsible, and you have it in like these 8 different mutual funds. Well, this is just an example, so if you are only saving $100 a month and you put 1/3 in your investments account, then there would be like $15 in each, and the amount would be a little bit different, but this is just an example. And you have like $400 in total in your investment account that is divided very responsibly in 8 of these mutual funds, and in every one of those mutual funds in itself is invested in 50 or even more companies worldwide, which minimizes your risk even more, and that's why this is a very solid and responsible financial system for people to use. And then if you multiply those 8 different mutual funds by, let's say, 50 companies, but most of them will be invested in more than 50, then your $400 would be invested in more than 400 companies worldwide. That's quite a lot, and not much will happen with them. They're just the people who are working there, who are providing products and services to the people, to the public, and they are working hard so that the company is profitable and remains profitable, and so on. So there's not much to worry about. Okay. And well, then we have this, like maybe the interest on your savings accounts may be like 1%, because here in the Netherlands they've like lowered all the savings interest rates, so you don't like get much by saving, but anyway, you will save 1/3 of your money, and then on this deposit or savings account, depending on the time that you choose to have it, like 1 year or 3 years or 10 years or 20, and the longer the money is like blocked, the more interest you will get on that. So let's say, for example, that account pays you 3% a year, and your the dividends and the interest that you get from your investments is like about 4.5% yearly. And then then after and then you might like add these up and divide them by 3, and then you have the percentage at which your money is growing every year. And with these numbers, that will be like maybe 2.5 or 3% or so, almost 3% a year, with a calculation from my head. And then, well, first of all, that is if you have your money only on your savings account, that is more than what you are getting now. And second of all, after a year or maybe 2 years, you will have like 1100 in your investment account, and then you are going to sell that 1100. So you you sell the investments that you have, so that you have the cash again to your for your use, to your disposal, if I translate it correctly, so that you have like the 1100 in cash again on your account. And with that, you're going to buy one individual bond. That may be from a government or from a company. You can choose one that has like a duration, I believe is the word, for 5 years. So if you get that one, they will like pay you an interest every year for 5 years. After 5 years, they will give you back your 1,000 that you paid for it. It is like a lending. You lend 1,000 to a company or a government by buying this bond, and then they pay you an interest every year, and after a certain period of time you get your money back. But you can also choose for one that is like perpetual, that will go on every year until that company or that government or that institution exists. That can be for a very long time. And so you might want to choose some of those, and you might also choose for the ones that have like this duration or this time of period, that they pay you an interest for 10 or 15 or 20 years. The longer the time that they are going to pay you in annual interest, the better it is for you. So perhaps you can get one of those that pays out 10% in interest every year. So then it would look like this. So your savings account is yielding 1% a year, your deposit account is yielding 3% a year, and your bond in your investment account is yielding 10% a year. And then we add this up and divide it by 3, and then you have like a really solid annual increase for your money. So it is every year growing with almost 5% a year, which is a very solid growth rate and your risk is as low as it can be. So this is like it is good enough, you know. Good enough is good enough, and you will after a year or two you will have your money growing with this rate. And that would then mean you have like an annual yield on your money of 4.65%, like almost 5% a year. So if you have like $1,000 in your accounts, that would mean that every year you get $46.50 in growth, in yield. So every year, and you get it this year, and the year after that you also get it, and then because after a year it is like $1,046.50, and then a year from that you will get an interest not only on the 1,000 but on this on your original amount, but also on the interest that you got. So then you will have this compound effect, the interest on interest, which will make it grow even faster, and that is what you want to have. And the great thing about this, well, there are two things. The one is that it does not cost you a lot of your time every month to do it, and the second one is that it is making your money grow in a really responsible way, so that you don't have to like worry about it, and that you can explain to your partner, to your husband, to your wife, how you are doing it, and that it is very responsible, and that it will help you to take better care of yourself and of your family, and create like a strong retirement, you know, because if you are excuse me, if you are an employee, and every month automatically something goes into this pension fund for you, and you next to that you also do this yourself. Then when you retire you will have two incomes, one from your retirement that you had earned from being an employee for so many years, and the second one is from your own fortune building. And it is always better to have two income streams than just one. This will like help you to have more security in your life, and it will, what is like really important to a lot of people is that they become able to take care of their families and also of themselves, and especially at their old age. So this is a great way to do that. So I have like, and I'm like talking for more than 4 hours by now, and but anyway, I hope that I have shown you all the things that you wanted to know and that you needed to know, and that I have also explained to you how you can use this financial system with your money and with your personal finance and your retirement planning and so on, and that is like quite simple and easy to do, and that if you like get a copy of this book or as a paperback or as an ebook, and you're gonna do this and you still like need some help, the people at your bank, they will always be there to inform you, to help you, to explain things to you, and if you want to, you can also always get in touch with me, and I can also explain to you some things and answer your questions. And yeah, I do you want to know how late it is now? And within half an hour or so, the sun will become day, and I am like I'm tired, but I don't feel like sleeping. Maybe it's this how do you call it? get something done, you know, when you have like this feeling of satisfaction, and maybe that is why I don't feel like sleeping. But we are we are going to close up with this video. After this, I will have to make it available to you on YouTube and at our community, Facebook, our Jasmin Books and Fans page, and then I'm going to have myself a cup of coffee, I think, and smoke some tobacco, and after that I will go knock out to bed. So thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for listening and spending your time with me. I hope that I have answered some of your questions that you might have. I hope that I've told you everything about how it can be that the guy that sells greeting cards has written a book about personal finance and with a financial system, and that can actually help you because saving and investing are completely different from greeting cards, which you might have thought in the beginning. And I hope that I've also shown you and explained to you why I think that this first book of mine is so valuable, and why it can help a lot of people. And I really hope that it helps you, and it would of course be great if sometime in the future I get a little message about how you stumbled upon me and upon my book, and how you read it and then started doing those simple steps and started to have more money saved and invested, and how it started growing every year and every year, and how it helps you to feel more confident and more secure about your future and about your family's future. So thanks again, and I hope that I hear from you. If you like, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. That will be somewhere here below the video. And if you want to get a copy of my book as an ebook or a paperback, those links will also be below this screen. and when it eventually becomes available as an audiobook or maybe even a video book in which I read the whole book to you, and you can like watch me read it to you, and then that link, well, I will have that link also below my videos, or and also at our community page at Facebook, so you will be able to find it. So for once again, thank you very much for being with me for more than 4 hours. I hope that that you have gotten some good value from this, and I hope that you use all of these things that you've learned to improve your life. So I wish the best for you, and until next time, thank you and bye bye.